In this lecture, we're going to talk about factoring when a does not equal 1. That means this first number is another number besides 1. So, we're going to start off by taking this value and multiply them together. So 2 times 15 is going to be 30. Now I'm going to find the factors of 30. That's 1 and 30, 2 and 15, 3 and 10, and 5 and 6. Now you need to figure out which factors combine to get a 13. Well, I notice here that here's one and here's the other. You need to guess which one it's going to be. And I'm just going to try the first one first. So when I rewrite this, it's going to be 2x squared plus the 15. Now, how do I rewrite 13x? That's going to be 2x and 15x. Now, what about my signs? How do I get a 13x? Well, if I start out with a positive 15 and I subtract 2, when I combine like terms, if I had to, that will get my 13x. So now, I'm going to do what's called grouping. I'm going to group the first 2 terms together and the second 2 terms together. And then I'm going to find the GCF of both of these polynomials. So for the first one, I notice that a 2 is in common as well as an x. So if I pull that out, I have an x left over minus 1. For the second polynomial, I notice I have a 15 in common. So if I pull out a positive 15, I have an x plus 1 in common. I know right away that this is not the correct answer because this term and this term is not the same. So now I need to go back and try this other set of factors. So I'm going to go ahead and erase everything that we just did. Now I'm going to try plugging in the 3 and the 10. So again, I'm going to write out 2x squared plus 15. I'm going to put 3x and 10x. Now if I add those numbers together, that will get me the 13x. Now I have to group these together. So I'm going to group the first 2 together and the second 2 together. I'm going to find my GCF of both of the polynomials. So for the first one, I notice that there's an x in common, but the 2 and the 3 have nothing in common. So I'm going to leave those in there and just pull out the x. Now, for the 10 and the 15, I notice that there's a 5 in common. So if I pull out the 5, now I have 2x for the first term plus 3 for the second term. And I notice right away that everything inside the parentheses is the same. That means I factored it correctly. Now the last thing you need to do is pull out all the factors, the x and the plus 5. That's your first factor. And your second factor is 2x plus 3. If you wanted to check your work, you could take this answer and multiply it out to see if you get this polynomial.